Hello and welcome to TableTalk Friday, your weekly dose of D&D banter between three men in a bedroom. If you like their style, make sure to follow them on whichever podcast service you prefer. And come back every Friday for another upload. Now, back to the boys.
Well, I had a dream that I died last night. I told Drew about it this morning.
Alright.
So I watched the What If Zombies episode of the Avengers, of
Marvel What If.
Marvel What If, yes.
Of course.
I watched the What If Zombies episode, and it was okay. But the big thing from the episode that I got was that it was very, like, Black Mirror-y, where things were like, oh, this didn't end off well for this universe.
No.
But it carried over into my dreams last night, where glad you could join us.
Gotta die.
But I woke up from my dream last night in a sweat because at the end, Drew was trying to teach me how to survive the zombie apocalypse because he knows guns better than I do. And we had two rifles.
Well, that's the one defining characteristic of Drew, is that he's
Expert
really
marksman.
really good with guns.
No, but he knows them better than I do, and it was only us at the house from The Last of Us 2.
Makes perfect sense.
And so it was the two of us, and we're out back in that house. And Drew grabs his gun and is like, okay, so watch what I do. There's one over there. And he points, and I see a zombie off in the distance. It's walking. And Drew aims down his sights, and he's about to shoot, and he goes, did you hear that? And I was like, no, because I really didn't hear anything. And so I was like, no, and my gun's on the ground, because I'm watching him.
Of course.
And of course you would set your gun down in the zombie apocalypse and leave it on the ground, as you should. And so Drew aims down his sights and is about to take a shot. Goes, okay, what? Did you hear that? I'm like, no. Again. Seth, I'm pretty sure I heard something. No, Drew, just take the shot. He goes to aim and he goes, Seth! And he turns around and there's these two guys in white masks running at Drew, and one of them just out of nowhere pulls out a knife. No gun, just Drew turns around with the gun, and this guy tackles him to the ground. I don't see anything that happens. And then I go to pick up my rifle, but of course in my dream I'm restricted. I can't shoot anything. I don't know how. And so I go to pick up the gun, and I can't do it. I'm like going to pick it up. This guy comes at me. He pulls out a gun, aims at my head, and I wake up super hot, in a sweat, and I'm like, whew, I just died. I literally just died in my dream.
I was a poor teacher.
I don't think you were a bad teacher. I think I was just really bad at holding the gun.
I'm imagining it was kind of like the tutorial mode in the beginning of Call of Duty where you can't aim yet. You can't aim down the sights yet.
That's literally what it felt like. That's a good way to put it. Like where I'm clicking the button to pick it up and my hands are going, like they're becoming like crab claws.
Because you can't pick anything up in your dreams.
And because of that cold open, welcome to Table Talk Friday. Woo! Okay. That was good. That was good. This week, we're doing how to be a good DM. And I think I explained to you guys already how I want the style to be, or how I think the style should go. If you have things to say, we can change it. But we should round table this to where, if we're doing how to be a good DM, last time we did how to be a good player and what traits that we like in players. We definitely should have done that for a round table for that too. Like, what do I like about Drew as a player? What do I like about Zach as a player? Those are good ways to pick things out.
Great ideas. We'll come back to them later.
Got 3 more episodes out of this.
So I pitched the idea of doing this as a round table. All 3 of us have DM'd for each other before, so we're gonna go around and have the other 2 explain what they like about the other person's DMing style. Who would like to be the first victim?
Well, Seth, you've been talking so much. I think we'll start with you, and then we'll just go around in this order that everyone can see the order we're sitting in.
Yeah.
So I don't even need to. Oh
yeah.
Okay.
So Seth.
Compliment me.
Yeah, Seth is a very good DM. I might even say he's my favorite DM that I've played with for a long time. And so I think it's helpful to talk about our differences to explain why I think Seth's a good DM. And so Seth's style is he's very much, I will spend no more than 5 hours prepping a single session. And that's like the upper end. So Seth will wing a lot of it, but he's very much like DMing by the seat of his pants. He's got characters.
That's a good way to put it.
Where if he didn't consider it, he won't even let you like call him out before he's already decided. Well, yeah, these are the character traits for this character, and we'll just keep on moving along. I really enjoy Seth's ability to just roll with it because in most of our sessions, we'll just get right off track.
Nothing goes the way that anything is planned when you guys are my players. You know, when I deal with people like Patrick said we can name drop him. So Broccoli, Eric, Patrick. When you guys are when you have two players like that, you'd be ready for anything.
Yeah.
So continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Other being Sean, of course.
Yeah.
Yep.
Firefighter Eric.
Yeah, absolutely. Seth, for all that I've played with him, he always runs modules, which that's also mostly my style, if due to laziness more than anything else. But I think Seth just does a very good job of bringing those stories to life, and he doesn't ever feel beholden to the book. So if you thought you knew what the story to Storm King's Thunder was, you definitely didn't. And if we were to tell you everything that happened in that campaign, and you also played in it, you'd probably say, I don't remember that at all. So Seth is a very good, by the seat of his pants DM, I'd say. That's probably the...
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, the best descriptor. By the seat of his pants.
All right. I would have to say that Seth's the worst DM I've ever had.
Oh,
the
dude,
worst.
this has got to be a good DM episode. We can do that later.
I would have to say that there's two specific areas that I think you would excel at. The first of which Zach was touching on, where I feel like I can do whatever I need to do while I'm in my character, and you'll make it work. So if I decide to jump off the top of the building for no apparent reason, something will happen. Any situation we find ourselves in, whether it's Firefighter Eric or Broccoli Eric doing some crazy shenanigans, something interesting will always unfurl out of it. You know, there's always more. There's always a twist. There's the story always unfurls itself very well. But more importantly, the second one is I always feel like your people are very alive. So I think you do very good at making sure this person is over here, this person is over there. They have very distinct personalities. They have very distinct moods, attitudes, vocabularies, accents, whatever you're going to do. I think that's super duper important. Just because when you're going through a story, if you meet 40 freaking people, you know, it's nice to know at least a couple of them, and you could distinctly know who it is as they show up in the back of the room through the shadows, or as that goes on. So I would say specifically those are your two things.
Cool. No, I agree with you guys. No, I would say when it does come to my DMing, I don't like to spend a lot of time on prep. You know, I think what we'll get into with Zach is I think Zach always has a lot of things prepared, ready to go. And he kind of expects things to happen, and we're good at throwing him off track in that way. Mm-hmm. And he always expects things to go one way, and we make them go another. But getting back to like myself, I won't go on for too long about me. But yeah, whenever it comes to story things, I don't have a lot of different voices. So if I can't do a different voice for this character, you know, I want to make it so that I'm always thinking about, okay, how can I make these two people different? You know, when you've got people like Artis, Simber, and Durnan who come together and they have the same voice, what makes them different from one another? One being that he's a prankster, he's got a lot going on back at his place and he's just living his life, that being Durnan, versus like Artis Simber, who had a duty to go on and is very serious about the fact that like he's been beaten because he can't find his precious artifact. So yeah, no, thank you. Okay.
Long-winded explanation for that, but I agree, and I think Artis Simber and Durnan is the example that we like to use because the voices were very similar, yeah. But I would not mistake being in the room with Durnan versus being in the room with Artis Simber.
Right. Okay, then that means Zach is up next.
Ooh.
So, I have probably played the most with Zach at this table. Drew, you played just in Eberron with him?
Just in Eberron, Saltmarsh now.
Saltmarsh, yes.
Maybe a one-off? that I might have forgotten about at some point.
Yeah,
I think there was something in there. I don't remember what it was though.
There might have been something along the way. Might have been something.
So I played a good number of sessions with Zach since he's been DMing, and I think that Zach is very good at making everything feel to me like it's a movie. You know, whenever, and I think that he takes what he does with his characters that he's given and adds a little bit of life to them. You know, like when you're handed a character. Like for instance, just some of the NPCs that were in Strahd. I would say especially with some of the characters that aren't as important to the campaign. I always felt like they mattered to me and I cared about them. There was at one point there's a little boy that we were talking to in Strahd, and I wanted nothing but greatness for this little boy. And Zach's really good at taking my shit and not taking any of it personally, because I can be a very like spur of the moment player when I'm like, okay, I think I've got an idea, let's do this. Zach takes all of that in stride very well. So while what makes us different in our DMing styles is that Zach prepares a lot more than I do. He's always very prepared for the session, so that, okay, you have an infinite number of possibilities you can go into. I've got the ones I think you're going to do way fleshed out.
And then inevitably,
and against all odds, we still do the one that he didn't have prepared.
but I'll take those notes and I'll put them on the next session.
Yeah, no, exactly. And he's very good about knowing when he's not ready enough to DM the session. Like if he's not ready to do it, he's like, okay, guys, I need a little bit longer before I'm ready. I need to put this time aside to prep. Whereas, you know, what we do differently is I'm like, I have an hour before we prep. What can I do for the session tonight that's going to work with an hour of prep? Mm-hmm. Zach is very good at planning. I'm going to say Zach's very good at planning.
Oh, for sure.
Against all of that, yeah.
I would think he's probably the best planner of all of us.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He's the note taker, too.
Oh, the note taker, of course, the note taker.
Well, and even in campaigns as a DM, he would still take the notes because we wouldn't do it.
We don't need to. We have Zach.
Yeah, we have Zach. He's going to do it for us. You know, Zach's the DM that you can trust. Like Zach's the DM that you can trust. Like that he's got it all done for you.
I would have to agree. I feel like he's always got something ready to go.
Yeah.
All right. So, I think there's one specific thing that stands out so much, and for me, it's the immersion in the environments. So the first time I played for you, if I'm not mistaken, was that first session of Eberron.
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
I think so too.
I'm pretty sure we're correct there.
Because remember, we had the whole conversations at the old apartment about how you never played for Zach and you really want to.
Yeah, and I always talked about how I wanted to play in Strahd.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but this kind of sets the mood. You know, we start off the session and we have the lights low in the room, and the jazz music starts playing, and the pipe smoke is going through the room.
Oh, I should have talked about that. That was my favorite part.
Eberron is an awesome setting, and Zach did a great job of bringing it to life. I felt super immersed the entire time. If we ever went into cabinets, there was always kobolds hiding in them, and we stormed a room, and there was, the gnolls burning the papers in the back, and I imagine seeing all the smoke go out the window as the kobold launched himself out the side.
That was the best moment! Oh my god. Yeah, no, that's what I should have said. Zach sets the mood like no one else. He says he always tells us how his favorite part of prepping is the music. Like, you love getting music ready for certain points in the session. So yeah, I'd say that setting that mood too, as opposed to like, you already have great characters and stuff, and you already have plenty of voices and characterization for those characters, but I think we all do that kind of well.
Right.
You know, a good DM does make their characters come to life already, but what Zach does uniquely is he sets the mood like no other.
And I feel like it's usually pretty immediate.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times when I play for you or someone else, it takes me a couple minutes to like, all right, I gotta do this. This is my character. Let's go. But usually when Zach starts, it's like, okay, I gotta get ready for Zach.
I distinctly remember the beginning of the first session of Eberron. Whenever I'm sitting there and I'm like, I really don't know what to expect. I got my voice down, I got my character down, and then Zach starts like the jazz track, and I instantly act like there's a cigar in my mouth, and I am like, oh, yep, this is the mood I was thinking of, you know? So that it made it really easy to get into it. And while we got used to that mood, it wasn't a surprise anymore, but it was like, when we could expect it, we knew that was the movie we were going for.
I wish, once we finish Avernus, I wish I could forget it so that I could do it again with Zach to see how he does the environment different, you know? I just like it'd be a cool setting, you know?
Yeah, I think doing the campaigns with different DMs would really, like, you know, it would show everybody's strengths differently.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I feel like the hard part for you guys now is talking about me. I've only DM'd, like, 2 or 3 times maybe for you.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and start with Drew.
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and say that, so, solitarily, I've only played 1 session.
It was half a session, really.
Is that true?
Yeah, well, it wasn't half a session because it took 4 hours.
It did. It did take 4 hours.
But what Drew really brings to, just from hearing your stories of your campaigns, and, you know, how you approach DMing so differently from us is just that, you know, creative, visionary edge. So even in the 1 session that I played, there was just levels and levels of intrigue. Like, before the session, you gave me plenty of context for, okay, this is the situation of the town and the people in it. This has all come from my mind. And in that, so premise for the session, we're guards outside of this room where stuff's going down. And our whole purpose is to keep people out of this room. So we do a great job at that.
Fantastic.
For a very long time. And then we finally go into the room, everyone's dead. And we were just waiting to, like, pop the lock off that box, and then all of a sudden we're finding this creepy, you know, ritualistic blood magic. It naturally infused with that. Our characters didn't know what was going on. I believe it was a stone, right?
It was an ancient relic.
Yeah, this ancient relic. And one of our characters touches it and begins bleeding profusely, and we think, okay, there's nothing that we can do except to cut his arm off to stop the bleeding.
That's the first thing. First thing that
It worked to stop the bleeding. But yes, so there's just this level of, yes, I've played plenty of D&D, but Drew puts so much thought into his campaigns, and they're very uniquely his. I've never played a session of D&D like that one. And I've never, you know, as opposed to a pre-written module, I've never felt like anything could happen than when I was playing with Drew.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because I've only played for Drew a couple of times too. But I do remember every time I played for Drew. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? While you probably don't remember every time you played for me, because I've DM'd over 100 sessions for each of you.
Yeah.
I do remember distinctly every time I played for Drew. Because on a separate note, he's very good at setting the scene for you, like sending you all the information you need beforehand for this grand idea that he had. And then directly after, like, starting, he's good about setting it around your characters too. Making sure that your character fits into this world just as well as everything else. So, for instance, I created a folk hero. What did I name him? What was his? I know he had
in the first one or the second one.
The when I was the paladin folk hero.
I don't remember his name. I remember his celestial
pet.
camel.
So he had a celestial camel that I used summon steed for, right? Find steed. Find steed. I used find steed for, and it was a celestial camel who had golden fur named Celestio. And my character rides up into this town all grand and regal, ready to do anything. And I let Drew know beforehand, this is what I'm planning for the session. I want to interrogate people. I want to zone of truth them. I am the most lawful good paladin that you could be. So I walk up into this town, and it is nothing like I expect. We are not solving a crime here. We are solving some grand mystical adventure where things are disappearing while we're in the room, and we have no clue why any of it's happening. There was a great explanation for it that sadly we had no time to get to, because what Drew does better than anyone else is make your one-off into a three-off. He writes enough to where you have to come back and keep playing for him. Mm-hmm. But so while planning may not be the strongest there, he's very, very good at making everything that you see super intriguing. Because you have to go in with a very open mind, because you're not gonna know what's going on here. Like you don't know what to expect when you go into it, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. That's making me blush over here.
No, that's
Cool.
fun.
I will write
yeah.
something that you guys will actually finish one of these days, I promise. It'll
No,
probably be the
I-
Christmas heist.
I would love to do that.
Christmas heist is going to be great.
No, and we all have our own strengths. We all have our own weaknesses in there. But yeah, I think that those are our own individual strong suits. But we haven't talked about things that none of us have done before. I know Zach and I have played for other DMs that aren't just the three of us. And we loved the way they did things. Like, some people are amazing DMs just by default. Even if they don't have a lot of knowledge, somehow they can craft a story together that's just literally by the book, handed to you exactly the way that it was written, and somehow it still feels real and, like, meaningful. And I'm talking about how Phandelver felt to me the first time I played it.
Yeah.
Because Phandelver, to me, jumping into it, I literally felt like my character living in that world. And I don't think that's just the fault of the writer of Phandelver. I think that is also what one of Lanky Eric's strong suits was because he was super good at getting you excited about D&D. Because he was so excited about it that it rubbed off. And it felt like he knew everything. It felt like I could make any choice and it would work out for me. And even like against all odds, he would kill your character if you did something stupid. Not that that may happen, but I think one thing that a good DM can do better than anything else is just get you excited about D&D.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to talk a little bit more about Lanky Eric, really what I found and what mystifies me about him as a DM specifically is, you think that I prepare a lot for our sessions. I'll spend 10, 12 hours just compiling shit, getting it all together. But Lanky Eric is like the lore master of everything that he's crafted. So he'll take Lost Mines of Phandelver, this simple 1 to 5 beginner level campaign, and he'll throw just so much stuff into it. Like he could DM by the seat of his pants. Like, he would not prepare because he'd already thought of this 6 months ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he had the answer for everything before we even knew the question.
Something else that I thought he did really well is he wouldn't tell us anything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We would have so many questions, like, what would have happened if we did this? What would have happened if we did that? He would not, no matter what you said, he was not going to tell you. You'd be like, I will buy you Cookout if you tell me what would have happened at this one point. And he's like, nope, not going to do it. Like, he was really good about that. For me, I get super excited about what I've thought of. Mm-hmm. And once you guys are past the point that you can't go back and change that decision, I'll be like, this is what would have happened if you did it. And that's just a style thing, I think both ways are great. But yeah, that was something that was really good about him, is he was like, no, I'm not going to tell you what would have happened because he's probably going to use it again later.
Right. Well, and even if he hasn't used it in this campaign, he'll hold on to that nugget. And then next time he's starting a campaign 2 years from now, he'll say, yeah, you know what? Remember that one thing that I told you about so long ago? Well, what if that still mattered? Which is just incredible. I'd say that's probably my weakness, too, as a DM, is keeping that level of mystery there, because I'll get too excited about my own bullshit.
Yeah, same.
I'll be like, guys, you don't understand what you missed by going left in the once we're past the point that it's relevant to you, I just can't help but spill the beans. But Lanky Eric was very good about never ever doing that. And since we were new players, we didn't have knowledge of the monsters we were running into. Like, the fact
every one of them was an ancient blue dragon, it felt like.
We fought a flame skull and it came back to life. That thing could cast fireball. Fireball. And we just woke up in the middle of a cell in this dungeon. We're depleted, drained, and that thing knows fireball and it came back. That's ridiculous. But that's what it was like playing with Lanky Eric.
Yeah.
Which I'd say that he's, if we're gonna classify our DMing styles, Seth's very seat of his pants.
You can call me, like, I go by, like, lazy DM style.
Yeah.
I'm very much so, like, I'm gonna craft what I want to what I think should happen this session, get as much notes together as I can on, like, okay, these are the ideas of this place, but I want you guys to have the freedom to make what happens there happen. So whenever I have the characters, I have their personalities, I have the place, I have what's in the place. But you guys are in charge of the story. You know, I know what happens in the story and everything, but you guys are in charge of that. So you guys walk in, I don't know who you're going to talk to. I'm going to describe who's there. I don't know who you're going to talk to. So when you talk to them, that person's reacting to you coming up for the first time. You know, I haven't thought about this situation yet.
Yeah.
So very lazy DM style. You know, I want to prep as little as possible to allow you guys the freedom to do whatever you want.
A lot of times that style, though, is one of the most interactive styles you can have, just because the players are so involved in everything. They create a lot of the story arc. They create the different situations.
Yeah.
Right. Now I'm forgetting. What was the wing shop in Neverwinter? Where did you guys go to get wings? Do you remember that?
They sold dragon's wings. Is what it was.
Yeah, but it was like chicken wings.
Yeah.
But they were dragon wings. I think it was like Pete's.
Yeah, I don't remember the name.
Tiny dragon wings.
Yeah, something like
No, but they called them dragon's wings because they were so hot, like a fire-breathing dragon.
Right.
And so you had to make like a Constitution save, or else it would like overwhelm you. The burning would, and I don't know if you would be like if there was like a point of exhaustion involved or something like that, but there was some repercussion for it.
I'm pretty sure that's just something that we randomly said, though.
Yeah.
Like, as a player, like, oh, yeah, you know, I'm famished. Do you guys want to go to Pete's?
Oh, yeah.
Or it may not have been Pete's. But anyway, getting back on track. So Seth is the lazy DM style.
Yeah.
If you all agree, I'd probably say I'm like the mood setting
Definitely.
sort of DM.
For sure.
But more
100%.
of like a... I think I take a theatrical element to it.
Yeah, well, which makes sense, being that you were a theater major.
Yeah.
As I say like a robot, being that you were a theater major.
And so Drew, again, he'd be the creative visionary with just like the ideas guy, generating all this, weird, wacky ideas. I'd say Lanky Eric then is the lore master, where he may not have written this all himself, but I never saw him like reference a book ever. Mm-hmm. Like he's just got it all up.
I did walk into his room multiple times in college though, and see him at the computer writing stuff down. You know, he would be at his computer. He has 2 books in front of him. He's writing stuff down, like, and he holds his hands up, turns around, looks at me, and goes, "What are you doing?" You know, and I was like, sorry, not trying to look at anything. I was like, so what are you doing? You want to go to dinner? You know, those kinds of things. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he was the lore master. You know, he would sit there and he would prep everything. While I decide to run a campaign and I don't even know everything about Avernus. I don't even know everything about the Feywild, but you guys are going there in 2 hours. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know anything about it. I'm going to read a paragraph description and like when I get there, how does time work in the Feywild, Seth? 1/3 of a day. You know, just something gets said and then that's permanent now.
Mm-hmm. That's how it is in homebrew though. You just kind of roll with the punches. You say something and a lot of times it'll either build into a whole different arc, or it'll totally screw you because now you need to make that work because you said it last session. It's got to be, I said you were going there. Oh, yeah, you can go there. Let me just draw on this piece of paper real quick.
Yeah. There are many times when I'll say something in a session and you guys like grab onto it and then the session ends and I go, all right, we're changing that, and hopefully they don't remember. You know, like, okay, well, let's make sure that's a little bit different. I'll change it for next time. If anybody brings it up, it'll change back, you know?
At the beginning of my session, just because everything I've ever run has always been homebrew, I would always give a little, like a debrief. This is what we did last time. Did I miss anything, guys? And I would look around the group. Does your notes say anything special that I didn't mention? I might have forgot.
Yeah, for
just
sure.
in case.
I love getting my favorite part of prep is writing that opening like debrief of what happened last session, because it's going to set us up for the mood of the whole session. So, like, these are the things that happen. And I love to throw, like, little jabs in there, like, oh, and then Varys did this really bad thing. And it turned out, like, really shitty for him, you know? And...
Which that's something that Seth will do at the start of every session. He'll do the the last time on Dragon Ball Z, where
literally.
where he walks us through everything that happened before, which is super helpful. If only someone would take notes.
We have a Zach.
Yeah, so that's what I do at the end of my session as well. Is I just go ahead and write, okay, these are the details that happened from this session that I will put when I get back to my room. I'll go ahead and write the start to the next session, so I remember exactly where I wanted to pick up, and then I'll prep the rest of it later.
Yeah,
but I think that's a good tip for DMs who don't have players who take notes. I'll just write down everything notable that happened while it's still fresh, and then use it.
So, taking that into like a next segment type of thing, what do you guys think for a starter DM? Say if someone's listening to this, they're about to start DMing, and they're like, what do I need to do to be a good DM? Like, for their first session, they don't have the experience, they probably can't improv at the seat of their pants, they can't pull out Mystra's entire lore within like 3 seconds of having thought of it. What does a starting DM need to do to be good? Like, even good enough, just good for their players for the first time.
I would have to say, the very first time, no matter what you do, period, just make your characters feel special, like they have a role, and make them feel like heroes. Because, if they feel like heroes and they're doing something super cool, they're not going to notice when you mess up. It's totally okay. If there's little inconsistencies or there's something you do that's not exactly perfect because you're not a master yet, they feel great. They're having fun. That's all that matters.
Right, and it doesn't take a master DM to have a fun session.
We're not
D&D.
even master DMs.
Yeah, no, but even if you don't even know what the rules are for combat exactly, or if you're still wrapping your head around that, to your point, Drew. Yes, absolutely. As long as you're listening to your players and making their choices feel like they matter, that's a big one. Then the rest of it will come. You can read the DMG later. I still haven't read every page. I don't think I will. But
I don't care enough to.
Yeah,
I know my style,
Mm-hmm. But if you're present and you're listening to your players, if they say, "Hey," offhand, you just mention, "Yeah, my brother used to go here." Okay, well, DM, if you're paying attention, go ahead and write that down. Something to do with their brother. In a couple sessions, when we come back to the same tavern, oh, your brother's here. And they'll lose their fucking shit.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you notice those details. So, good DM ideas. Come prepared enough to let things go off the rails. So if you don't know exactly what the players are going to do, have a couple options. Have some random encounters that you can roll from or whatever, just to get yourself to wherever they're going. But listen to your players and make sure that the game is a collaborative experience and they feel like their choices matter. Because that's ultimately the biggest thing that you want to avoid, I think. And we'll talk about bad DMs later. But players want to feel like they matter. So if you just write the story and you're like, yes, this is my movie, this is my novel, and you guys are gonna watch as I tell you as all this cool stuff happens, they're gonna check out because that's not what they came here to do.
Their choices need to matter for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go completely off of what you guys are going on as far as like style and stuff, and I'm gonna say what the tools you need to bring to your first session, or like your first session as a DM. You need to bring like a piece of paper and a pencil, whatever creatures and stuff you have ready to go, written down. Have those things handy so you can pull them out quickly. I'm not saying you can't stop the game for 10 minutes so you can get it all ready, but make sure you have the things you're going to need for this session on hand, and start picking some good music for whatever your style is. Like I decided to go with, for Avernus, the beginning of the campaign, we had more of that Arabian style. You guys are in El Terrell and Baldur's Gate, which is very close to the coast. It's hot here, that kind of feel. And then once you guys got into Avernus, it turned into not only like a little more morbid type of music and stuff, but then also whenever you guys would get into big boss battles and stuff, like full on trap beats. So have your style have your style of the campaign, your mood, whatever you want to set that to. Go ahead and pick out some soundtracks for that, because I think that music is one of the best ways to get your players involved the first time, because I mean, we all know that music altogether can like change your mood very quickly. Mm-hmm. So if your characters come in here like, I really don't know what to expect, I'm kind of nervous, I don't know if I can roleplay well, I don't even know if I can do a voice, and you play some music that matches that mood, they're going to start acting that way naturally. So that's really going to help you with your overall just getting your players involved, is picking some good music. I feel like that's something that a good DM does from the start, is just start with whatever style of music you're going to use later.
Yeah. And I think that's a great way to get sidetracked, is to talk about music, because I don't think that that's a given for, they don't put that in the player's handbook that you must have background music, or at least like, soundscapes or, ambient noise, something to add to it. But I think that is just so helpful in D&D if you can have... again, like you're saying, if you can keep your music to a theme, or bring it in and use it for moments of tension. I think a good story to bring up would be in Curse of Strahd. I won't spoil the circumstances, but one of our players, Zach's brother Eric, he decided he doesn't want to play anymore, but his character was still hanging out with the party. And I was trying to think of a way to get rid of him. So the players are trying to uncover this mystery. There's something brewing. They need to get to the bottom of it. Eventually, they find this location, and lo and behold, so they send in Illirin, the character without a player at this point. He goes in to this location to scope it out. And then all of a sudden, they hear explosions coming from inside, and there's, sounds of a scuffle. The whole party rushes in after him. It takes them, just a round to get there. And then they find he's got a vampire on him. It's sucking his blood out, and he's dead. And then the music after that, just the somber, sorry, sorrowful music of this character that we've all gotten to, to know and like. When he dies, that's just a very powerful moment. I think it would have been much less impactful, and it'd be something that I'd think about a lot less if we just did it in silence and said, all right, does a 19 hit?
Yeah, exactly. No, having some really cool, not even just battle music, though, for music for those moments where a character has down, they're on their last line of breath, switch the track because someone just died. Turn on the sad music, or what I like to do whenever characters get into that zone, I turn the music off and let the silence take over, because everyone is at the table not talking, not speaking, and it's chills hit you whenever it all goes to black, and it's oh shit, that just got real. That's something that I feel like I do. I think I do that almost every session now, where right whenever I'm about to cut you guys off for the session, I turn the music off, explain everything in silence, and then end it. Because then it's oh, wait, no, we're not ready yet.
Where'd the music go?
Yeah.
It's the worst. Don't do that. Leave some cliffhangers.
And honestly, other than, we've already talked about the basic things you need for DMing, your dice, your, very, very basic planning for story and everything. But come to your session excited. Be excited about D&D. Come up with, you don't need an arsenal of voices for your first time DMing. You need 2, maybe 3, and you'll come up with more as you go on. I think I went from maybe having 5 or 6 for most of Storm Kings to having 10 to 15 whenever we got to Avernus. Mm-hmm. And I switch between those all the time. I'll use what I know in that way. I think that just take what you know and apply it and learn as you go. A good DM should always be willing to make mistakes. And then, know that next time it's going to be better. You don't need to look back and be cringe at the moment whenever you mess something up. Look back at that and be that's not going to happen again. Use it next time to make the next session even better. I never look back at the first few sessions of Storm Kings whenever I'm man, all of that was a lot. I was not a great DM at the time. I was very inexperienced. But we had some wild, awesome things happen, and I only look at the good things from that. I don't look at the fact that, Zephyros kind of comes out of nowhere at the beginning of the campaign.
Right.
These aren't crazy like spoilers or anything because I already said in the last time you shouldn't use the 1 to 5 anyways. But like whenever a character shows up at a really weird time for no exact reason, those are things that nowadays I would write and change up a little bit. I would make it just a little bit different. That way it's a little more compelling.
Right. But you live and you learn.
Exactly. Don't take anything from the campaign personally. Just have fun at the table. Enjoy the time you have with D&D because it's meaningful to everyone, especially if these are, close friends of yours. Make sure you're playing with a group of friends that is going to be okay when you make a mistake. And I guess, do you guys have any more like pointers or things that people should do starting out, their first couple of times DMing, their first campaign? Maybe not even their first, but maybe someone's been DMing for a year or two now and they still want to know what they can do to get better. If they've already got those first few things down.
I would have to say it's just an umbrella term to cover a lot of things we've already talked about. Just set that example. If you want your characters to use some voices and feel open, use some voices. If you want them to feel a certain way in a certain situation, use a particular type of music. Just set the mood in every way that you can, because they're going to look to you the entire game. You're explaining the story to them. So however you explain it, the tones that you use, everything you do, it all translates into the story, and they'll look to that, and they'll play off of your energy. So give them the best energy that you want.
Right, and it's important to realize what type of group you're playing with, right? So you don't necessarily want to be the only actor there if no one else is really into role-playing. So you kind of have to adjust your expectations for the group, but there's always a few things that you can do to make the story more engaging, even if your players aren't necessarily the type that want to, pull out a Russian accent and talk that way for 4 hours with you.
Every week for 2 years.
Sometimes your players won't want to do that, but if you just think of a couple things for each character, maybe it's not, an accent or something physical that you do to embody them, but just something interesting that you wouldn't have necessarily thought, oh, maybe this character really has a thing for, for bugs, and they collect bugs. Wow, that's a weird character trait. But imagine what thoughts your players will have. If, say, you're in the middle of a mystery, and all of a sudden this weird bug man shows up, and he likes bugs.
Hello, I am here to find the closest beetle. Do you have any beetles on you, sir?
Right, that's weird. He must be the guy that killed that person. So how funny is it that he's not? Stuff like that. So just...
Did you know that bugs like to eat carcasses? I found one in the woods earlier.
I hate that. I hate it so much.
So it's nice to just have ideas and not be afraid to make bold choices, even if you're not, acting. And if you don't want to do the bug man voice, but you've got another character that you'd like to play, or even you can say it in your regular voice and just describe how the bug man twitches and how he holds up the carcass of a cicada.
Yes.
That's equally valid. You're not beholden to being an actor, I suppose. Yeah. If you're more of the novelist type, then let that part of you shine.
Yeah, and I think my one final thing I would say is how to be a good DM is to be your own DM. Don't take examples from the DMs we all know about, the DMs that are out there leading the charge in the world of D&D. You are not them. Do not try to be them. Because I know when I first started DMing, I wanted nothing more than to be as good as Chris Perkins and Matthew Mercer, I wanted to watch their stuff and do everything exactly how they were doing it. And, that was our one Critical Role pitch of the day, since we have to bring it up every time.
Yeah. Hashtag Critical Role.
Sponsor us.
No. Why would Critical Role sponsor someone?
Because they look up to us. They look up to our unique DM styles.
So, don't try to be them. You've probably heard or seen videos about people talking about the Matthew Mercer effect, about how he's such a good DM. but that doesn't come from any sort of like training he did. He's just good at his style of DMing, and he has an amazing group of players. They all play off of each other well, and they are all trained actors, so they can compel you. They can put that story together, and all of their characters can have all of those things. Your group probably doesn't have that. I know my groups didn't whenever I started DMing. They were just a bunch of nerdy college kids hanging out in a room with a set of dice each, you know?
Spoiler, they still don't. Now we just make funny voices.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but we just make funnier voices, and we get a little bit better at writing every time we do it, you know? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, exactly. You know, we have a group that I'm very happy with, and that I think I'll always be happy with as long as, you know, we all keep playing together. But, you know, we're still not, you know, the Mighty Nine or Vox Machina. We don't need to be those people. We can be our own group. We can have our own fun. Let it be something that you come up with on your own and do because you love it. If you don't love DMing, then don't DM.
Yeah.
Do it because you love doing it.
Get your friend to do it.
Pick one of your friends and make them the DM forever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I honestly feel that way a lot of times just because I like DMing so much. You know, I'm never going to complain when you guys say, can we do a one-off this weekend or something? Or like, we all have time, let's do it. I mean, if someone has something they want to prepare, I'm like, okay, sure, I'll play. But playing is always secondary to like DMing for me when I can, you know, see when both of you play that you love playing as much as you do DMing, you know?
All right. I think that about covers it, no?
Yeah, I think that's good. So, remember, guys, to follow the podcast. We release every Friday, as is in the title. We now have a Twitter page made by our own Andrew Romano. You can email us at tabletalkfriday@gmail.com if you have any questions, concerns, or if you have like a cool prompt for us. We'd be happy to hear from you. So make sure you rate it on Apple Podcast if you're there, or any other podcast service that you're on. And we will see you guys next Friday. Oswin, take us out.
Thank you for listening to Table Talk Friday. For more adventures, check us out at your favorite podcast service. If you'd like to ask us a question about our travels, please send an email to tabletalkfriday@gmail.com. Otherwise, feel free to stop by next Friday for our next episode. And have a nice rest of your week.